Yo, my name's Alex, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to make some great, powerful sounding drums in FL Studio. We're going to do this in 5 simple steps. First, we're going to use high quality samples, and I'll show you guys where to get some free ones. Second, we're going to do some mixture leveling. Third, we're going to add some EQ and effects. Fourth, we're going to create a drum bus and compress it. And 5, we're going to add some more effects on the top. Alright fam, step 1, use some dope high quality samples, okay? It makes a huge difference right out of the gate. So in this video, I'm going to be using some free stuff from Cymatics and Sennheiser. I would highly recommend both of those sites if you haven't heard of them. I'll put the links down in the description below the video. They've got a lot of great free content. You just sign up with your email and you're good to start downloading, but they also have a lot of good paid content if you're into that as well. Okay, so we are in FL now. I've chosen a kick, a snare, and a hi-hat, and I've drawn in a really simple pattern to the step sequencer. I've got my project at 113 BPM just because that's the spot that I like to work at. So let me play this pattern for you guys. Alright, that's sounding pretty good already. So what you guys need to do is find some samples that you like and lay down a beat. And when you're ready, we'll move on to step 2. Alright, step 2, mixer leveling. You guys can see that I've got the mixer open and ready to go, and you guys might also notice that I renamed and colored my samples up in the step sequencer. Definitely do that, stay organized, it's just awesome. Organization is key, right? Okay, so pro tip for sending your stuff to the mixer, those little blocks in the center there, they like kind of glow green. Right click on all those and highlight all of them. Then go to the mixer, make sure mixer insert 1 has the focus, and do Control-Shift-L. And bang, they all get sent right to the mixer, all in order, colored up, named the right way, and everything. Alright, let's get to leveling. So head to your mixer and using only the volume sliders on your mixer channels, try and make these samples fit together. So I'm going to leave a little bit of headroom here on the kick and the snare, and then probably take a listen to what I've got and see what I need to do. Okay, not bad, but I think the hat's a little bit loud, so I'm going to turn that down a bit. Alright, for my purposes, I'm going to call that good. You probably have more samples than I do. I'm just keeping it simple with 3 for the video. Just remember that the goal here is to make your samples work together as a team. Make everything sound good just by using the volume sliders before we get into actual effects. Alright, here we are, step 3, EQ and effects. Now, there really are no wrong answers here, and this is not going to be an EQ or individual effects plugin tutorial, but I'll give you a starting place if you're kind of new to EQ. So, let's load up a EQ2 on the kick, and let's just see where this kick is hitting. Alright, so I can tell visually in the spectrum here that it's got some real high end, it's got a click on it, and I can hear it as well. Listen to that click. Let's say I don't want that, right? Let's just cut that right out. Cut it right out of the mix. Give it more of a thud than a click. That sounds okay. And play this one more time. See how it's really highlighting in this like 60 to 70 hertz range? That's really where my kick is thudding. That's like where all the low end foundation of my kick is. So what I'm going to do, pop over to my snare and make sure that my snare doesn't have any low end that's fighting with my kick. So my snare's low end foundation is right on the band 2 section in like the 120, 140 hertz range. But what I'm going to do is just pass this just to make sure nothing is going to get caught in there. Pass it at around 100. Maybe a little bit tighter, maybe more like 120. There we go. Now I can be sure that there's no low-end foundation in my snare that's going to be competing with the thud of my kick. Okay, as an example of an effect, let's add some basic bitch reverb onto the snare just because it's so popular. Reverb on snares and claps are super prevalent, so let's do that. You're going to notice me fiddle with the settings here for a little bit. Really, the only thing you want to make sure you do is probably cut out all the bass to the reverb. Just turn that knob all the way down and make sure the wet knob gets cranked up a little bit. I like the size all the way up, but it's really up to you. Usually with a snare, you want the bass all the way down and the H cut all the way up just to make sure that you're getting the reverb where you want it. But play around with it, see what you like. Sounds pretty good. As a few more examples, you could add reverb or delay to anything, probably any non-kick elements in your mix. You could add some saturation or some color to maybe some snares or some claps just to give them a little more high-end presence. And something that I'm actually going to do is force the kick into mono, and I'm just going to use MV2 mono for this. Just a quick and dirty way to do it. Move that to the top of the chain. So now my kick's going to be forced into mono. You're not going to be able to hear a difference over the video, but in the end, you'll be thankful that you did that. All right, in the interest of time, I've just kind of thrown some stuff up on the screen there. Those are some things that maybe I would do to my drum beats at this stage of the game. I mentioned a few of them before. I want to get moving, though. I want to get to the next section because that's really where the magic starts. Our drum beat is about to come alive, so let's get going. All right, step 4, drum bus and compression. Let's make a drum bus. So come on down to your mixer, find an open channel. I'm going to use 4. I'm going to rename this to drum bus. Now, find your other samples. So I've got a kick, a snare, and a hat on 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to do Control, Shift, and click on these. So I have all of them selected. And then with all of them selected, I'm going to come to the bottom of channel 4, which is my drum bus channel I just created. Right-click on this little arrow and say Route to this track only. So now my kick, my snare, and my hat are all routing through the drum bus, which routes to the master. All right, now let's compress our beat. Go to your drum bus channel and add a fruity limiter at the top of the chain. Set it to compressor mode and put your parameters in. I'll set like a negative 23-ish threshold, and I usually start out with like a 3-to-1 ratio. I'm going to leave the attack and release as is for now and see what this does. All right, so this is telling me that my compression is firing on my kick, my hat, and my snare in my beat, so that's good. That's kind of what I want. I wanted to squash down that dynamic range and bring everything up together to make it more uniform and just make it more powerful. So let's add the makeup gain. This is where the magic comes from. Maybe 7 or so. Okay, I feel like my hat got a little too loud. So I'm going to drop that down on its own mixer level before it goes to the bus. It's okay for now. You can always come back to these. That's mixing, right? So that's fine. Understand that you will come back to all these levels as you're, adding more and more things to your track. So that's step 4. Let's go to step 5. All right, guys, 5th and final step is more effects, this time on your bus channel. So let's summarize what we've done. We've chosen good samples. We've gotten some nice high-quality samples. We've leveled them out in our mixer. We've EQ'd them and put effects on them individually. We've sent them to a drum bus, and we've compressed them all as a whole. And now it's time for the icing on the goddamn cake, okay? This happens fast, so pay attention. I'm on my drum bus channel. We've already got our limiter here. I'm going to add one more thing, and it's going to be Fruity Blood Overdrive, and it's going to send our beat over the top. Just leave the default settings as is, and it's going to add a nice crunch over the top of your drum beat that I think sounds amazing. The color knob is the key here. Play around with this, see what you like. I honestly like it just right smack dab in the middle, which is the default, so I left it there. Now listen to this again without and then with the Blood Overdrive. So here's without, and I'll turn it on halfway through. I just love what that does to the beat. You got to be careful with your kicks to make sure they don't get too distorted with that, and sometimes it can add too much high end to your snares or claps, but in this case I think it sounds pretty good. Alright guys, there you have it, 5 easy steps to making some fat, powerful drums in FL Studio. I hope this video helped. I hope it got you thinking of some more ways to tackle drums in your mixes.